Welcome, friends. It's Frank here, and today's topic is an exploration of the idea in Revelation chapter 17, the idea of the mystery Babylon. In the pages of the book of Revelation, there is a lot of symbolism, and a lot of these topics are based around a vision or visions that John receives or sees. And today, a lot of this is interpreted in different ways, and we want to sort of have a look at some of these diverse interpretations and perspectives offered by different scholars. And the question that we sort of grapple with a lot is, who or what is the mystery Babylon? If you look at the couple of the chapters in Revelation, chapters 17 and 18, it gives you an idea who this is. So let's have a look at chapter 17 and explore this sort of subject. It is a key chapter, chapter 17, for the mystery of the great harlot and the beast is explained. And our understanding of this chapter affects in a way the way people will interpret the rest of the book, one way or another. Now, of course, this is given to John. He doesn't really explain any of this. He just receives it and writes it down. So there's obviously a lot of room to speculate in this book, because although there are references to the Old Testament, I don't think there's any direct quote from the Old Testament in this book. I might be wrong, but there is a lot of allusions to it, but not necessarily direct quotations. We see, as we read through this book, John is carried away into the wilderness, where he's shown the great harlot Babylon, whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth were drunk with the wine of her fornication. She is also seen sitting on a scarlet beast with 7 heads and 10 horns. She is dressed in purple and scarlet, adorned with gold, precious stones, and pearls. She has in her hand a cup full of abominations and the filthiness of her fornication. And what is written on her forehead is interesting. It says, "Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and of the abominations of the earth." I'm just going to read a couple of the notes here. Seeing the woman drunk with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus, John marvels with a great amazement, from verses 1 to 6. Then the angel proceeds to tell John the mystery of the woman and the beast that carries her. He begins with the beast first, described as the one who was, is not, and is to come. That is from the ESV. Now this beast will ascend out of the bottomless pit, Revelation 11:7, and go to perdition in Revelation 19:20. The 7 heads of the beast represent 7 mountains upon which the woman sits. The beast is then described as the 8th king, right, that rules for an hour, and it comes through the 7. So the 10 horns also represent 10 kings who give their power and authority to this beast, make war against the Lamb, and eventually turn on the harlot herself. The harlot is finally described as that great city, Revelation 14:8, Revelation 16:19, which reigns over the kings of the earth. Now, as indicated earlier, what we're going to do is focus a little bit on time with the beast that is not, Revelation 17:8-11. Also, the explanation one gives for the beast. But at that time when John was writing, it was not. So what's a plausible explanation for this beast that was not? One plausible explanation is that the 7, now actually the 8th king, represented the Roman emperors. Now, some have said it represents the United Nations, this 8th king. But some also have the idea that it represents the Roman emperor starting with Augustus. what do they say? Well, they make Nero the fifth king in this understanding, the fifth king, whose death in 68 AD may have been a deadly wound, referred to in Revelation 13:3, 12 and 14, discounting other ones such as Vitellius, whose insignificant reigns were short-lived during the turmoil of the sixth king, the one who is, and some would say that would be Vespasian, who restored order to the empire. So this would make Titus, therefore, the seventh emperor, and Domitian the eighth. So that beast was and is not will ascend. Therefore depicts, some say, the persecuting Roman emperor, seen first in the person of Nero, who was the beast, and later in the person of Domitian, who will ascend. The 10 kings who gave their power and authority to the beast appear to be vassal kings that have supported the emperor in times of persecution. The identity of the harlot, if you go along with this line of thinking, the identity of the harlot is still an open question for a lot of people. Some lean to Jerusalem, if you're thinking on these lines, often supported in her persecution of the church by the Roman Empire, but then destroyed herself by Rome in AD 70. And so this is what some people believe. Some people's understanding is that the harlot represents the commercial and immoral spirit of Rome, not the literal city itself, but the spirit of Rome, for she was instrumental in opposing God's people. So people can sort of say it fits sort of Rome in this chapter. I don't know. I'm not suggesting it does. I'm just highlighting what some ideas are out there. So who is the beast, the kings, the harlot? What we do know is in Revelation 17:14 it says, "These will make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb will overcome them, for he is Lord of lords and King of kings, and those who are with him are called, chosen, and faithful." So regardless of the situation, however the interpretations are, this is a time where the Lord will overcome. So some things to think about in the book of Revelation 17, that the beast is not when the revelation was given to John. So John doesn't know who the beast is, or this eighth king, and the identity of the great harlot and the scarlet beast. So if we look at the outline of John's chapter there, 17, we see there in verses 1 and 2 that one of the 7 angels who had 7 bowls, one who offers to show him judgments of the great harlot, which sits on many waters, whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and whom the inhabitants of the earth were made drunk with the wine of her fornication. Then John is shown a scarlet woman on the scarlet beast in verses 3 to 6. He is carried away by the angel in the spirit into the wilderness. There he sees a woman sitting on a scarlet beast, the scarlet beast full of names and blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. The woman, she's arrayed in purple and scarlet, adorned with gold, precious stones, and on her forehead she has this name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of the harlots and the abominations of the earth. Drunk with the blood of the saints, blood with the martyrs of Jesus. And he marveled with great amazement when he saw her. Then the mystery of the woman and beast explained from verses 7 to 18, asking John why he marveled, saying that he will tell the mystery of the woman, of the beast, and 7 heads and 10 horns that carry her. The beast explained, verses 8 to 14, the beast that John saw was and is not, and will ascend out of the bottomless pit and go to perdition, will be marveled by those whose names are not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world when they see it. The mind which has wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains upon which the woman sits. These are also 7 kings. 5 have fallen, 1 is, and 1 is yet to come. When the 7th comes, he must continue a short time. Some say an hour. The beast that was and is not is himself the 8th king. He is of the 7, and he is going to destruction or perdition. The 10 kings and the 10 horns, who have received no kingdom as yet, but receive authority for 1 hour with the beast, who are of one mind, and give their power and authority to the beast. This is why some people say it's the United Nations, because there are many nations in there that have no authority but give their authority to this group. And we've seen sort of the rise of WHO, the World Health Organization, on the planet just in recent years, and now I think they're becoming more powerful as a group by the world governments, including any lockdowns and whatever comes through this body. There are several governing bodies that we probably don't realize have a lot of power in this world, in the political world, and these bodies are now starting to rule the world, believe it or not, where the kingdoms or the governments of the world will take consultation from these bodies like WHO to make decisions for their citizens. So it could be something like that. I'm not saying it isn't. I'm just looking at how people are interpreting things. And they will make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb will overcome them. For he is the Lord of the Lord and Kings of the kings. The woman explained in verses 15 to 18, the waters upon which she sits are peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues. The 10 horns or 10 kings on the beast will hate the harlot, make her desolate, eat flesh, and burn her with fire. For God has put it into their hearts to fulfill his purpose. So we see that God has a direct play in the destruction of this beast, that he puts it into the harlot. God works with the beast, puts that fire in their mind and heart to act, to destroy the harlot. And he says for them to be of one mind, and to give their kingdom to the beast until the words of God are fulfilled. So it could be some sort of central figure like the UN, where they're all coming together. Now, it's interesting that John saw is that a great city which reigns over the kings of the earth. So it's a city within the world system. It could be. So there are some interesting points in Revelation, and when you go into 18, there we find that the fall of Babylon the Great is proclaimed, and the great mourning over her by those in the world. For the fall of Babylon is proclaimed by an angel with a great authority, who illuminated the earth with his glory. So it's something that's going to be, if we are believing in this statements, it's going to be something that is going to be noticed by everybody, that this was of a divine nature, this act, because of this angel being illuminated on the earth. And the reasons for her fall include how the nations in the earth have committed fornication with her, and how the merchants have become rich through her abundance. And then there's a voice from heaven that calls for the people of God to come out of her, lest they receive the plagues that come upon her. Her judgment will involve death, mourning, famine, and utter destruction by fire, for it is the Lord who judges her. Now, some say this is religion, Babylon the Great, to get out of religion, because of the religious side of the equation. Some say it's America. Some say it's Europe. It just depends who you're listening to. The fall of Babylon is mourned by also the kings of the earth, who committed fornication with her, and merchants and sea traders who have become rich by her. They all cry out, "Alas, alas, 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 the great city," as they observe her judgment. They bemoan that in just 1 hour, Remember, the 8th king is ruling for 1 hour, so that in 1 hour her riches came to nothing and she has become desolate. So power, position don't save you in this moment, and money can't buy your freedom. On the other hand, heaven itself, along with the apostles and prophets, are called to rejoice because God has avenged them on her, verses 9 to 20. So that's an interesting passage also to read. Finally, a mighty angel throws a large stone into the sea to depict what the great violence of Babylon will be thrown down. The sounds of sights, of music, crafts, even weddings will be gone. The fall of Babylon, therefore, is justified, for her merchants were great by her sorcery. The nations were deceived, and in her was found the blood of prophets, saints, and all those slain on the earth. So what is this, therefore, chapter 18 describing? So again, some go back to Rome. If the date of the book suggests in the introduction, right, that it's around 70 AD, then Jerusalem is indeed the harlot, some would say. So therefore, some would talk about the destruction of Jerusalem in 70 AD. And some would say that that is in harmony with that line of thinking. But that's up to you. I'm not telling you what to believe. But and so therefore, if Rome, for example, they say in particular her commercial and immoral spirit is the harlot, then chapter 18 might describe the fall of Rome in 476 AD, where it says all the nations and all the merchants of the earth might fit Rome better than Jerusalem, as we alluded earlier. So the fall of Babylon, the harlot, was due to her treatment of the apostles, prophets, and saints. So when Revelation was written, Rome had already killed Peter and Paul, and so likely Jerusalem may qualify as Babylon the Great. This is what some are saying. Or some today are saying it's Christendom, right? With the UN going to fall on Christendom. Some say the judgment is also upon Jehovah's Witnesses and their organisation because they're the truth. However you want to interpret it, friends, it's up for grabs, as it were. I'm very skeptical in trying to interpret such meaning. It's not easy. There are different schools of thoughts. Obviously, dual fulfillments that people are looking at, city-state system with ties to demonic influences is predicted to intensify and face divine judgment in the latter days. The city of God versus the city of man, a crucial element, some would say, in understanding the mystery Babylon is the contrast with the city God builds, as mentioned in John chapter 14 verse 3. The New Jerusalem, designed and built by God, stands therefore in stark contrast, in opposition to the city constructed by humanity, which is ultimately, that's what you're looking at. The former represents an everlasting dwelling place, which the latter, depicted as the mystery Babylon, is destined for destruction, according to Revelation 18. So they're just some of the thoughts that are coming from these two chapters, chapter 17 and 18. I'm not too sure where the answer lies, to be quite honest, or what the truth is. There are different perspectives, and you can look at different authors, different preachers, and you'll find different ideas about this and trying to shed some light on the different facets. It's a very complex thing to do, because the relationship between human power structures, demonic influences, and divine judgment are all put into these chapters, and it's very hard to sort of know where, who's who, as it were, because we're really not given any clear direction. So some, as Bible students, as we sort of navigate the currents of biblical prophecy, one thing remains certain, that the ultimate outcome of this struggle between the city of God and the city of man is foretold, as we mentioned earlier. and the stage is set really for a profound reckoning. I have this feeling that, when Christ was crucified and was given all authority on heaven and earth, that there is just basically two spirits operating on planet Earth. That is the spirit of the devil and the spirit of Christ or God, the Holy Spirit. And there are only two kingdoms on the planet: kingdom of darkness and the kingdom of light, or the kingdom of the sun, as mentioned in Colossians 1:13 and other areas about Satan being the ruler of this world, etc. So we're either going to be pulled out from one and put into the other, or we're going to stick to one and live through this horrific times that we're living in. But I think that the rescue mission has already started back in 30 or 33 AD when Christ died and was raised up, because the whole point of Jesus was to break the works of the devil, and he has done so since. And this is what the children of light are doing. They're breaking the works of the devil by having the indwelling spirit in them, and be able to show that they can live in this world without compromising their beliefs, because now they have the spirit to overcome the works of the devil. But anyway, what are your thoughts on Revelation 17 and 18? Let me know. See you guys.